I also don't think that women don't deal with it because they can't get taken care of. I think it's a winner's mindset. Because when you talk about cheating, like I can literally give you the example of the guy who is characterized as the quote unquote pookie, and he's running around five,
Yeah.
six different kids. He don't really have the means or the resources to actually comfort a woman to take care of her. But it's the winner's mindset. Like this is my territory. This is my man. I feel like I've gotten something because I can't look at a guy who is having five or six children in multiple households, and primarily the women are probably doing better than him and housing him, and go, she's got a good man.
Yeah, men recognize it as the ultimate form of betrayal. It's different. Women don't see it as much as betrayal as men recognize it as betrayal. A man's loyalty does not lie within his loins.
I do
So what do
I do
okay.
think, I'm sorry, Lady Di. I do think women see it as the ultimate betrayal, but like Sweeney said, we just tend to forgive more. But I disagree that the premise that women handle it better. I actually don't think women handle it better. We just handle it differently. We cry our eyes out. We are depressed. We do whatever. So
Get back.
really, I don't think we actually handle it better than men do. We just handle it differently. Maybe men go sleep around. Maybe women eat unhealthily. I don't know. But both versions of that is bad. It's not one is better and one is worse.
So then let me ask you this. What reason is there any reason that you would leave a man?
If
Yeah,
that's is that for me specifically or for the panel?
Or any lady who wants to answer,
yeah.
who doesn't see it as the ultimate form of
I have,
betrayal?
I have two hard no's. Cheating is not one of them. Cheating has never been my absolute no, and that's because
What's
I
your
don't.
absolute no?
My absolute no is an addiction and abuse. I will not tolerate
Okay.
a man randomly beating on me for no reason. I will absolutely feel the need to not support him through an addiction. Some things you just have to have a set precedent for. Addiction is a self-motivated thing. So everything else, it can be a discussion. It can be worked through. Of course, that's negating sexuality. I won't even put that on the table because I don't idealize myself with a homosexual man. So with that being said, everything else can be worked through a conversation because everything else could be an individualistic problem, or it could be something that is completely something that we created together. I encourage the problem or whatever the case may be. But I agree with Chanel. I've always said that women are just vocal about the cheating. Women just happen to want to embarrass the man. Women just happen to want him ridiculed, because it's a damaging feeling for anybody. It's emotional abuse. And you have a way of wanting to make that thing a punishment. Doesn't necessarily make it right. I think that men actually handle cheating, the aftermath of it, a lot better, because more times often than not, if you don't allow a person to be the orchestrator of how you get treated. If I say this is my hard no and my boundary, and you go against that, then I choose what happens next. You don't choose how I respond to disrespect. And that's why I elude men from being able to walk away from it and not forgive it, because that's something that's not tolerated in a monogamous relationship.
I
And
actually want
that's
a
how we
woman to
feel
cheat on
about it.
me.
That's how we feel about cheating. It's a hard no. That's for us.
I was
It's
gonna say
that's the
that
same thing.
I think that it affects women more only because they would stay with a man that would cheat on them, and they would continue to talk about it the rest of their relationship. So if they're together for 20 years, she gonna bring it up for 20 years. And if he keeps doing it over and over again, then it's like affecting her over and over again. So I think that it's just affecting her triple fold. I think men handle it, I would say worse, because there's some men that will, delete you if you try to, mess around with another dude. So and
Oh,
that's just
oh.
handling it differently, kind of like what Chanel said. I don't know. I think that the anger, like you guys handle like situations more with anger and rage. So that's why it comes to your insanity and you just go like a little crazy. But I do think women are affected worse emotionally. I think emotional damage is worse because it's something that starts to tap into the mental illness, sector. And once you hit that part, it's kind of like no coming back.
I have to
I think we
disagree
have
with
to stop. We have to stop making men seem so violent.
I agree.
Because men are no more violent.
Not a
Men
bad
are
thing.
not more violent than women, right?
I agree.
Women. The only reason women are not as violent is because they're not capable of winning. If you look up statistically to see which relationship is the most violent, it's
Lesbians.
two females. So
Lesbians.
females are
Yeah.
actually more violent. They have a more violent
Yep.
nature. They just don't have the capability of being violent.
And
Yeah, that's
also,
what I was gonna say.
saying that.
and
I'm
also
not
on the
saying that a
contrary-
man. Go ahead.
and also on the contrary to what you're saying, and I'm not going to discount the fact of emotions, right? Like love will get you killed, but when we say certain things like that, I think the issue here is, for one, I don't like the preference, especially in conversations, Black men being the boogeyman. We see shows like Snap, and we see shows like my Fatal Attraction, et cetera, which are
Y'all
premised
see
around
shows
women.
like Snap. Just
Okay,
keep that in mind.
I'm just saying in general, Mr. Let Go, right? So what I'm saying is we see shows that are getting national syndicated attention. They're being aired for years at a time, and those shows are based around women experiencing rejection and territorialism because their spouse has stepped out and found another love interest. And when you're talking about having a cheating relationship, I think the best thing to do here is say anybody can be violent when they feel that their emotions are tampered with.
And I was
I
gonna
got a
say,
question
sure,
for y'all. Go ahead, Sweeney. I got a question. Go ahead, Sweeney.
there's been ongoing like we've seen it, grit ball, setting cars on fire. You know what I mean? We see it all the time. I think like I agree with Trev. Huh?
I said, did you just bring Medea up in this grit ball?
There's a reason why that was mentioned, and how many people identified and agreed with it when they seen it and laughed and clapped their hands, because a lot of them would be willing to do those type of things.
The
As a
baby
matter of
oil
fact,
on the floor in the bathroom from this Christmas.
like when I've seen more women get violent in relationships than I've ever seen men, and that's bar none across. And again, that's my own anecdotal. But when I've seen violence, I've seen women go to. It's just like Trev said, though. We're just more successful at it because we're stronger. But that don't mean that wasn't for lack of trying. She tried.
I'm saying like
most men don't even report it.
Let me just ask y'all a question. And this might sound crazy. Why do y'all care so much when y'all get cheated on, or if y'all get cheated on?
Because
and
you went to a verbal agreement with me that said that you were okay. So this is why.
But
right?
virtually every verbal agreement gets broken.
No. Here's the thing, right? You don't. When you become an adult, every relationship that you fester is one that you cultivate on your own person. Nobody's forcing you into that relationship. So I can choose to talk to my parents. I can choose to talk to the friends that I say are my friends. I can choose this job. Everything is a choice. And so as a man in my situation, if a man saying, you know what, I had all of these wide range of women to choose from, but Paris, I choose you. And then you go out and you break the vow that we're practicing to be committed to each other before we even get to marriage, or even after we get to marriage. And for me, when men say their word is their bond, I honor that, right? So when you're going to bring distrust into the situation and you step out, in my head, first thing that comes to me is the fact that we had a problem. We had a problem. You, to a decree, you had that not have been happy with me somewhere down the line. I need to be able to address this, fix it. This is our relationship. Regardless if he has no emotional attachment to this woman, something encouraged him to say, at one point in time, I only want to be with you. I only wanted to have sex with you. I only wanted to honor you and your body and lay with you. And then now I don't anymore. And not just the penetration, the conversation, the emotional attachment, the caring for another woman, the providing for her, giving her money, making her feel special. All of these other things
Let
So
me
this is
answer
the
the question,
reason.
let go.
Yeah, answer the question. Go ahead, answer the question.
So to me, if you men will stop lying to women all the time about y'all wanting to be with a whole bunch of ladies or whatever the case is, maybe the mindset of us wouldn't be so you can't do that. You can't do that to me. Don't mess around and all that other stuff. If this is what you guys preach, that it's natural to have multiple women, cool. But in this society, that's not how it is. We wasn't raised that way. So in our head, it's embedded that you cannot be with somebody else. If you do it, it's an ultimate betrayal for us. So I think it should be more honesty into what it is that y'all really are destined to do. Maybe it will be a little bit better mentally for ladies to understand.